Welcome to the best. What are you doing, man? Welcome to the best show ever made, and timely too.
That's very cocky of you, Christopher, but we're talking about confidence here in LOL tonight.
And more.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Yay! Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the shift show that takes all things spiritual and gets to the truth with humor, we're told. I'm psychic astrologer Christopher Otecki.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium with scottcruzpm.com. How are you doing today, Christopher?
It's hard right now. It's harsh. I know. I came to work bitchy, and I'm just in a lot of pain. Like I have a lot of stuff, a lot of karma happening right now, and we have a full moon building. So yeah, so I have my son's in my 12th house now, which means like it stirs up all of your karma, so it brings it to your face. Which happens every year, usually with like based on the theme, but. Saturn and Neptune cleaning out Pisces. I mean, we've been cleaned out with Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces.
Yeah.
I mean, for lack of a better term, we flushed the toilet, with those two transits. Really powerful transits to like face your stuff. And now in this year where I finally cleanse the rest of it in me and my body, oh shit.
Yeah.
There's another wave of just really the body having to process it and, and whatnot. And some tests too.
That's the thing too. When you purge the spiritual shit, the body also reacts. It's like the spiritual detox, does integrate with a physical detox. So yeah, it definitely could be very cumbersome, when we're purging the karma because, our body has been processing that energy a certain way. We've been maneuvering around life a certain way. It's interesting today. I was purging a lot even yesterday in my mind, and I woke up like nauseated and actually like vomited, but nothing came out. I'm like, this is odd. Like my body was purging, physically purging. So yeah. And I attribute it to like last night I was processing all this other stuff like I'm done with this, I'm done with that, and so it's interesting.
And that's it. I mean, the moon in Capricorn, from what I can tell, I guess I'm excited, this is like the major earth sign decision. This is really this full moon, and Capricorn is the ability to say no, we're done. Like really, as a Capricorn can tell you when you're being fired by one, you're done. You've rolled on that side. And they mean it, and you feel it. And so this happens to be a heck of a clench. This is like, I think the last of it that has to go. And I think to some degree, you're right. The body has to reboot somehow. Like sometimes a lot of people get sick. A lot of my clients will get sick, for like 4 days, like where they're enough sitting around the house, thinking about their life. And, there's a ritual that goes around that we don't always pay attention to. And then, however you are, according to your storyline, your body does what it does.
Yeah. Well, it holds memory, our body, right?
100%.
So, I tell people too, like, yeah, I mean, people like, they carry your stress around, right? And they don't realize when you're tense and you carry that in your shoulders and you go to work out or lift something, you have that tension, you put that tension as you're lifting something. I pulled something, I injured myself. It's like you're carrying all that weight. And so we have so much weight we're carrying from previous karma, like previous incarnations and, from this incarnation. And we got to recognize how it's affecting the body. But yeah.
Oh, it is. Agree. I mean, our body gets sick. I mean, we're full of all kinds of things we're not supposed to have in it. But there is this purge, and if nothing else, we're going higher vibration, man. And that I can affirm. I'll tell you, I've had an expansion of my awareness in the last 2 weeks, a real expansion. Yep. And I can't describe it fully. I can't encapsulate it fully. It's still happening. And sometimes like a feature that turns on and then turns off again. Or I'm just like, wait, things are just bright. I don't know how to describe it. Brighter and more knowing at times. And then I'm stuck in my old. So I'm trying to hatch, I guess.
Well, you're taking that spiritual squeegee, right? And you're like cleaning the windows now, so it's clear now. You're seeing through it now, right? Because you're doing this time. Not just you, a lot of people. I've been preparing people psychically for the past year about this is a release of karma of 2020 and 2025, and so the seeing is also could be shocking for a lot of people when you start seeing things from that new point of view. Some people get really scared by that because like, oh my gosh, I've been seeing things a certain way, and they relied on that, and so when they see this new paradigm, it can excite a lot of people, freak a lot of people out. A lot of people could be like, I don't know what to do, I'm scared. And so I always tell people it's okay, it's a good thing, like you're in reality. So, just take it step by step, take it moment to moment. We don't have to rush it, so nurturing, like we said last week, right? Nurturing.
Yeah, nurturing yourself. And I think a lot of times, I tell you, we're going to talk about strongman today. We're talking about the strongman reaction. And that's like, in a way, I think part of the moon in Capricorn is the fact that we have made decisions because we're trying to control our feelings. We just decided to get through it, decide this, decide that. Capricorn can control feelings. The only thing it can, it's the opposite sign. So if you make a decision, you can actually like pinch off your emotions and go cold when you decide to go cold. And so I think we're undeciding. We're letting go of certain ties. We're just like, fuck that, letting things go. As a result, things are flowing. And as a result, really, we're making different choices. I mean, I think if you're mostly wounded and you're making decisions to avoid wounds, then the world's going to be warped over time anyways. Because you weren't aiming for good all these times. You're not getting better at good. You're getting, well, just not that, and closing ourselves down. So I think this is an epic moment. And the reason why we have this new game, Trump and the Strong Man. So segue. Trump and the Strong Man. What we're discussing today is in our news really relates to the topic of the day for, the idea of confident people or cocky people. And, it's a real hard black and white to measure. When people are strong or confident, people cocky, everyone kind of takes the way they want to. And so there's this concept of the strong man, you probably know, but in Webster's dictionary, it's the one who leads or controls by force of will and character or by military methods. And I thought it's interesting that it's like force of will and character versus military. Right. If we associate those two, that means that anytime we have someone who has a forceful will, anytime, we're going to be triggered by the military ones that we've known in past lives too. It's like, I think those two, wires cross, And I think a lot of times, what's going on here with our confidence is that we are having to face stuff where we were haunted in a past life by, or, in a horrible dictator who died in a society that had something horrible. So I see the spirit going on too. But we want to use your psychic powers. Back to you. And that's whether President Trump, step 22 is President Trump, is he being confident or cocky? I mean, what do you think with your intuition?
To me, my intuition, right? My vibe, which is where I get my opinions from. So whenever I say I think, it's because I read it first. So I just want people to classify when I say I think, it's because I read it. But he's confident and cocky at the same time to me. I think sometimes that confidence and cockiness is blurred by, the overzealous, energy of wanting to be looking good, because I think cockiness is I want to look good. I want to be the savior. I want to kind of come in and fix everything. Whether that's good intended or not is not up to me to decide that. I'm not getting into politics in that sense. But there is that confidence and cockiness that I think he possesses that can blur the lines of what you're actually able to do moving forward, and also blur the lines of whether or not you're doing the wrong things in a sense. And many people are very confident and cocky, don't want to accept any type of criticism. And so criticism weighs heavy on them because it breaks the mold of confidence and cockiness.
Totally. I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting. I think he's both, and I personally think it's planned. It seems like a performance in a lot of ways to me. It seems like a showman that would have done circuses back in the 1800s. That would have been, he would have run through with the circus. That's what I really feel. Right. And I really feel a lot of it is that. And I feel actually he knows it. Like his little inner child likes that game, kind of. Likes this game of circus. And I'm the middle circle. And it's amazing. The biggest thing you ever had. Like just going town to town to kind of keep people entertained. That's what I see him as. But I think I feel that he's both. Sometimes I don't know. Do you ever use cocky for yourself? I've never really, I don't know. First of all, it's a weird word, as far as cocky is concerned, but ultimately it's sort of like the idea that, their dick's in your face. Like you're seeing them, everything they have, that character
it's vulgar. It's a kind of very vulgar energy.
Yes, you're right.
Depending on, some people like vulgar, right? And so,
that part I'll say it's not appropriate for a public. I mean,
I feel though, because you could be a very confident person, but if somebody has been deprived of attention and validation at a younger age, that confidence can turn into cockiness. When they start getting the validation that they didn't have before, the people start revering them, praising, whoa, I'm getting all this attention. That could then turn to cockiness that I'm the shit. And so I think it's a fine line too, where you can cross between confidence and cockiness. But confidence to me is just a knowing of your power. It's knowing your power. It's knowing who you are, and it doesn't need to. You have to prove it. It just proves itself, and that's where confidence really is for me. Versus cockiness is very showy.
I think you're ready to prove it. Confidence, if I have to, I'll do it. It's knowing you can do it, and you don't want to have to do it. You want to do other things, but you will if you have to. You'll prove almost. Yeah, that confidence. Yeah. Well, let me flip it around this way too. What's so funny?
It's funny the topic.
Yeah, totally. Well, who knows who it is at this point, but we can look back in history and then kind of use the same analysis. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was a president that got us through almost 12 years of being a president, because he got voted in for a third time. That's when we actually started thinking about limiting it, was at that time. And was in a wheelchair the whole time, but faking like he was walking. So didn't tell the American people he was actually in a wheelchair. He stayed up strong. Was he being cocky or confident?
I get very confident to me on him, and I think the cockiness could come here and there. I just feel like, his soul feels like a very zealous soul, like really wanting to like bring change for the sake of bringing change and to affect, to inspire, to make a purpose. So it feels very confident to me. And sometimes people can misunderstand confidence for cockiness because someone can be very direct. And so, when you have someone who's confident and very direct, then people can misinterpret that as cockiness. And so I'm very direct. And so then people can interpret the wrong way that I'm, maybe cocky. Like, no, I'm just direct. I think that people need to hear things clearly. Right. And so I feel like with FDR, I feel very confident energy. And there's waves of cockiness that come in and out. Don't get me wrong. That's normal. But I really feel on the soul. The fundamental aspect of himself was confidence.
Well, I think, two things. Being a past life soldier over and over again and a commander, I'll tell you this. If you're about to go to war and you're about to fight to the end of your death, I know it's funny you think me that way, but if you're about to fight willing to the death, right, you have to be cocky to win that fight. You actually cannot win it unless you are cocky. Like, you have to get your energy up to such a high level of I'm better than you. And I think that's where it comes from. The cockiness is like the history of us. Because we had to fight. We had to talk ourselves into fighting. We had to talk ourselves into dying that day or not dying. Like, it was pretty intense. And we've been like that for generations. So I think that's in everyone. So I think with FDR, I think he was cocky to Hitler. I think they were all cocky. The world leaders at that time, like, fuck you, we're bringing you fucking down, man. Democrats gonna fucking, like, democracy. Mm-hmm. Like, there was a lot of cockiness between them, although they look all calm on the Allies and stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought he was confident
right. But like I said, I think when confident people can play cockiness, right, to leverage the situation. So like in war, you got to play cocky, but at the end of the day, like they're confident what they're trying to accomplish for the good, right, in a sense. So that's why FDR seemed very more confident in the waves of cockiness, because somebody's got to play it, and there's sometimes we play that role, but at the heart, we're not cocky, so.
No, I know. But I do think that, in battle, that side comes out of the male expression as a means of getting, a dog will do the same thing. Also, and we'll get in that like mode of like adrenaline.
How did dogs do it?
I'm gonna do it again. All right. So why is it, I think this is self-evident, but we'll ask it anyways. Why in times of uncertainty, people gravitate towards strong men?
Well, that's obvious, right? Because there's uncertainty, people don't feel secure. So you have someone with a loud voice, we're going to make it happen. And a lot of people need a savior, a leader, or someone to look up to. Unfortunately, that's embedded in our history with religion, and especially with governmental leaders. Everyone just rises and reveres the leader. So, of course, if there's times of uncertainty, someone comes with a loud voice. In this case, it's split. Some people feel like, yeah, secure. Some people like we're doomed to hell. So right now, I think you can tend to see the duality in the dichotomy of feeling secure but also feeling completely like things are over in a sense. So I think anybody who's leading with confidence or cockiness is bringing change. And I like how the last episode you said in Trump's chart, he's a disruptor, and we need disruptors in our soul evolution so we can shake things up for the positive sense. So yeah, that disruptive energy can bring a dichotomy of feeling safe, but in other times, sometimes people just need someone to look up to, and so that secures them, and someone's very confident and certain.
I think it goes back to Christianity, Jesus, Moses. Like, we have been this habit of like looking for gods for a long time.
Right.
And we were looking for gods, even science looking for gods, which is truth. That's what their God is. They're trying to find truth. And we're just as wrapped up in truth as we've been in God, It's because we were lied to, ultimately. We have to remember that, I don't feel like, I think the truth was kept from us. Like the sacred, sacred schools knew all this, knew all the truth, and it's kept it from us. That's shitty, kind of thing. So as a result, we become addicted to that. If you're being attacked and your people are being murdered, whoever fucking stops that, you're my hero.
Right.
Like, it's kind of like you kind of like trigger it to survival, and you trigger it to all sorts of huge home, family, fourth house stuff. So I get how we got here. So the solution is, we talk about the solution. Let's do the solution right after this commercial. Actually, I'm going to hook the solution. And that would be from our sponsors, which would be you.
From the creators of 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma and 40 Days of Self-Love comes the class you've been waiting for, an introduction to Step Astrology. That's right, I'm sharing some of my inside secrets on how to read a chart according to Step Astrology and help you interpret the stars, whether it's for yourself or for clients. Keep a lookout for us coming soon.
Are you a practitioner looking to move your life's work into the spotlight? Do you have that special magic that makes you stand out? Serious Joy is now auditioning for its new Practitioner of the Week segment on Namaste Today. Sensei Christopher is looking to highlight qualified lightworkers with a promo short dedicated to raising awareness about your gifts. Interested? Contact Jenny at intuitive.com to apply for an audition and get ready to shake what your spirit gave you.
Okay. This is just so helpful.
Ooh.
That's good.
It is one of those days.
It is really a strange day, y'all.
It's one of those days.
Not on camera. Thank you.
Full screen.
Right. Wow, that was weird. We've had a lot of weird stuff going on, man. God.
Hi, I'm back.
Just gotta stay cool. Stay humble. Don't look into it.
But right. and to say what we were saying before too, because I think a lot of people will witness these strong men and contribute that to cockiness and that confidence to cockiness, that people won't embrace their own confidence in the fear of being too cocky. And so a lot of times, and I used to post a video about this a couple of days ago about like unintentional arrogance, where sometimes like, oh, I don't need to do that. I don't need to like show up. I don't need to receive that gift because they're trying to be humble. But then that ends up being like an unintentional arrogance because you're the only one who doesn't need presents. You're the only one who doesn't need to receive. Everybody else does, but not you. You're too good for that. So we have to be careful, the fine lines of humbleness and confidence. And we shouldn't be afraid of our own confidence because we, perceive others as being cocky. That confidence doesn't equal cockiness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, and here's the real thing. It's like to make this work, the solution is you have to be the hero of yourself. You have to be the hero you're looking for. You stand up for yourself, give yourself everything you're hoping someone else will give you, and just become that inner support.
Right.
So once you heroize yourself and give yourself all the worship you deserve, confidence is natural. I'm confident not because of any. I mean, my confidence comes from within. It does not come from without. And I don't care how many times, I don't trust the without data. Like it switches all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it looks like I'm doing great. It looks like I'm not doing great. It's like, well, fuck it. It's like, I don't know what that algorithm is, but it's not tied to my performance. I'll tell you that. Like, right. I found my performance is all tied to me. And I think that's where confidence starts, is that you're racing yourself and you're competing with the version of you yesterday. That's where the sport is, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But also people don't know how to develop their confidence and where confidence comes from. I like to say the more comfortable you are with something, the more confident you become at that, because when you started learning how to drive a car or ride a bike, I mean, you weren't comfortable. The more comfortable you got riding that bicycle, you became confident. Oh, I could do it with my eyes closed. So if you want to get confident about something, get more comfortable with the idea. You want to be more confident yourself. Be comfortable with yourself. Get more comfortable being who you are and expressing yourself. You'll find the confidence. And I think when we all work on it that way, we won't develop the cockiness, because then we're coming from that sincere, genuine state, right, of progression. What was that, a fly in the room?
Clearly, we didn't clean well here. I've got like flies coming, like saying hi to me, like trying to make a fucking guest appearance. That fly was like, "Mom, it's me, Mom, it's me." Yeah, crazy.
Very, very cocky fly that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
But like I was saying, like when we go through that process, then we actually find the confidence in the pure way. We don't have to worry about becoming cocky in that state, because many people I see, my clients included, afraid they're going to get too cocky, and they don't find their confidence.
If you're in your heart, you won't. That's the truth. If you're in your heart,
right.
Your heart won't get. Your heart doesn't do it. Like
100%.
You just gotta try it. If you go through your heart will do everything perfectly, and it'll do everything you're in love with. It's crazy.
Right.
Like, we are the person we're trying to fall in love with really first. You can't say you're in love with someone else if you're not in love with yourself. You just can't. Like, I don't think you can how you claim that. You don't love yourself. You don't love, show me, But people associate, like, people loving themselves a whole lot with cockiness. Like, oh, he loved himself a whole lot now, don't he? And it's like, no, that guy that just stood in front of you doesn't love himself. He's showing off and he's getting it from the outer. He's not getting it from the inner. Right. Or maybe he did get it from the inner, and we're just so used to the movies doing the other,
Sure.
Bashful, shy, beautiful man. It doesn't even.
Right.
But I feel like the point of this moment is really, this is a great show, because it's about this era is now we're moving in to realize that we are the individual that's controlling the show, literally. Right. And I'm realizing that emotion is how we are in like a wireless network with each other. We're all sniffing and feeling emotions, and I'm like, oh, that's it. Like, and those are right there. So we're kind of thawing out. And that's where I see reality shifting, and the planets show a lot too. As well, so that's a good.
Yeah, let's get into that. What are the planets saying?
Well, Uranus just went to Gemini Monday, actually.
That's right.
That's a big deal. The last time was 1942, and it means that we're going to accelerate our mind's capabilities. And I have to say, the biggest example of this already is AI. Like, I just started playing with AI. I don't know why I waited. I'm kind of sometimes the last one to get in the pool, but I realized, I don't know if we talked about it last time. We got to talk about it again, but what it's doing is giving everyone on Earth something intelligent to talk to at any time. And I'm like, so that means you could have been an idiot the whole time, and now you're just gonna be like brought up right to where everyone is. That's all you have to do is imitate. So this is going to literally lift the intelligence of humanity. Is what I realized. Like, fuck, I didn't see that coming. Because if you're going to interface with it, it's going to talk to you, teach you, be patient with you, try different ways. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting, compelling. Uranus in Gemini. Venus in Gemini. I'll just say Neptune retrograde last Friday. So that means you have to kind of, I don't know. Tell me, this is a good interface here. When Neptune retrogrades, the theory with astrologers and myself is that suddenly, where it was sort of the universe is right next to you, helping you, making it easy. Now the universe sort of creeps back and doesn't push so hard.
Right. Because it's all about self-sufficiency. But I think during this time of progression, we're starting to recognize, like we were just saying, that we are very much self-sufficient right now at this time. And I think that's why there's been a lot of chaos in our collective, a lot of chaos in our personal lives too, that we've been forced to go through, so we can recognize I don't need those circumstances, I don't need those conditions. I'm actually fine. I dictated them before, I can dictate them again. So I've been seeing and predicting since last year or late 2024 about May, June, July, this segment May, June, July being this time of realization, revelations, and manifestation. And so we're coming into the realization of self-sufficiency, which means is that we can now dictate, we can now manifest the things that we've been building up in our psyche, and the passions that we've been also expressing as of late are now coming to physical manifestation. So a lot of change. There's gonna be a lot of change. A lot of people like shifting identities. A lot of people are shifting their careers, their homes. Like there's gonna be a lot of major like external changes in this month of July moving forward. And I'm doing a whole 12 sign read of that tomorrow on my live show, but about what that would look like. So this is an important time for me. Just July essence.
Oh well, July's. I mean, the big deal with July, we're in the sun in Cancer, and that brings me to the talking about the full moon in Capricorn coming in 24 hours. It's at 18 degrees Capricorn. 18 Capricorn is basically the one running the show. Like as far as in consciousness, the 8 Capricorn is doubting their abilities but wants power, and the other top 8, which is 26 Capricorn, that's like a CEO that's like flying in and out kind of level.
Yeah.
The 18 is the ones running the factory, the ones doing stuff, making things happen. I'm an 18 Taurus, that's why I know. An 18 Virgo, there's a spirit to it. Well, we just keep going like a factory. We understand how to like make things, to like shift gears so you make more with less. That's kind of what our talent is. That said, it's an 18-degree full moon in Capricorn. That means some operating system of your life is about to be retired. Like that operating system might have been AA. Like that operating system may have been a certain friendship group that you party with and you just don't want to party anymore. So some sort of way of working, some sort of TikTok, kind of energy, sans the actual site, is going to be either replaced immediately or the old one's going to break, forcing you to start thinking about a replacement. Like this life isn't working, these mechanics aren't working. But the full moon is also, I've had enough. Like I just can't do this anymore. I'm tired. So that is because we want to feel better. The sun in Cancer, we want to move on with feelings. So the sun in Cancer is like, my heart wants to move on. I want the story to be over. I'm clipping this off. I'm done. Like close the book on, kind of thing. And that's really what it takes to actually change. And I'll let you speak. Is that people have to reach a point like, fuck this. It's gonna fucking. Once you decide and you commit to that decision, you sort of put it in two safes. At that point, it's real hard to undo.
True. Well, and again, that's the chaos I was speaking before. Like if we're fragmented and we have all these different array of emotions, that gives us the opportunity to be very much conscious of our emotions and what we're feeling and what we're not feeling too. So I find a lot of people beside themselves the past few months. I've been beside myself the past few months too, but I'm able to observe and look at, why am I feeling that? Like I never saw that I felt that before. So I think people have been observing and be able to view their emotions. And that's the breakthrough. That's really what makes people be more definitive in their approaches and having less fear of moving forward or making a paradigm shift, is that they're more aware now. And I think, again, this karma realization, revelation, and this chaotic expression is there for this purpose of that fueling. And I'm fueled. I feel like I'm on the brink of a huge identity change. I've been processing like something. I feel a major shift with change with my work, with how I'm expressing my work is right around the corner. I can feel it.
Difference with me is, yes, I feel it actually happening. I always knew it would. Like, so I'm really good as an engineer of time. I know when the timing is, and I'm always surprised with shit we had to go through. I didn't think about, so that's this astrologer who lives his life. He's like, I think it's going this way. And most of the time I'm correct, but I think we're at a point now where for one, it's like, okay, I'm going to stop wondering if it's correct. Like that's a whole level. Like, why we're good. We can assume now. And then the other part is, it's a total wardrobe change. Like, I just see the roles. For me, it's stuff from the past finally able to do. Like give myself permission for things I've wanted to do the whole time, but felt like I had to do this and had to do that to make money, to look correct, all that stuff. So I'm letting go of a lot of Capricorn rules of like how business has to be.
Interesting.
And what is consciousness and the way we actually lead at Serious Joy. I'm like trying some new things where it's not committee, but it's like new hybrids that work maybe better. So I'm wanting to put on the new tools and put them into work.
Yeah. And so everyone needs to be open to that. A lot of people maybe are like feeling very much fearful about like breaking outside their norms. Like that's where it's at, as we break outside those boxes. So we all need to embrace that, not fear it, be open to it. At least if you're open to it, you can see what's happening step by step. You wouldn't be like knocked off your horse in a sense. So I think we all have to be open to that. And it can be tricky during this time. So tomorrow night I am doing actually 12 signs, all sign readings, and for July, August, because I think it's an important time to do this. I always do the all side readings when I feel like it's an important time to like get ahead. So join me live tomorrow, Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in. And I'll still be doing personal one-on-one readings too, as I always do every week. But tune in tomorrow and get to see what your sign is saying to you for July and August. And here's a short commercial.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.
Are we being hypnotized? Hypnotized in that verse? Because something always happens to me when I listen to that last day. I'm like, huh?
But good. I mean, and the amount of hairlines I featured in that freaking commercial is astounding, by the way.
That's so funny. Well, there are people counting that. You got to be careful. That's being judged everywhere. So let's continue on our topic today, confident, not cocky.
Because I'm confident, I don't care.
And this is the one episode we say cock more times than ever in our history. Inner power from the heart versus the ego. So, the topic is the two sources of our, strength. Is it coming from the inner heart or is it coming from the ego? Where does our strength then come from? And how's that played into confident or cocky? I think we both know, but you say your opinion.
Well, I mean, we kind of went into this already about kind of the inner strength, because it's like, I would say when you're confident, you're fulfilling the self, but also doing for others without any type of wanting anything in return, right? That's the confident aspect of such, because you're confident what you do, you know your power. I think that's the most important thing, is knowing your power. So what are you good at or what you're not good at? So even knowing what you're good and bad at too is bringing that level of confidence, but that can help you to project more into being an assistant for others, or realize, hey, what I'm doing and knowing my power is affecting others. You just build on that. It's coming from within, like we said before. So, so the ego now, it needs to like survive. It's just a very survival mechanism. So if you're starting to do something, you have to be the best and like conquer everybody in the way as you're getting forward. That's the ego. The ego's trying to survive. And so you have to ask yourself, you're surviving or thriving? And thriving always comes from the soul. And that's that true confidence that comes from within.
I feel there's a couple basis points here I have to throw out there. I feel that, first of all, we create all of this. It's all our creation. And so because we're creating it, whether in a dream in heaven or we're down here actually doing it here, it's like your heart's a part of it creating it. And to me, the confidence is I know my heart wants to create. I know what I intend to create. I know what I want to happen. That's my confidence. I'm confident I'm going to make what I want to make. It took years to get to that confidence, but I'm confident we all can. That's what I want to tell everyone. The ego for me has to be reassigned. Like, I think that's part of the problem, is that ego is like, guarding the door, keeping us from being eaten by lions, all stuff like that. And now it's actually being retired. It needs a new job. And to me, the job is, it's like throw on an apron and start doing dishes. Like the ego now, I think, has to support my inner emotions, like so that I can feel good and strong and loved. And that's the job for the ego. Take care of the heart, take care of the creator. And that's plenty to do, trust me, because I'm high maintenance.
Well, so tell me about it.
And a big
Your
ego.
airtime minus is getting higher and higher. But the thing is too, like, I think people, kind of misunderstand too about the ego. Think they have to kill the ego. And I like what you said about, giving it its role. You need to understand what the job is of the ego. We can't kill it. We got to nurture the ego. Let the ego, what it needs to do is for us to keep us in survival mode. The ego is good. It keeps us to be able to go out there on stage and do performances. The ego is allowing us to push forward and say, yeah, I will be successful. So let it do that job of encouragement for survival, but you should not be in survival mode, be in thriving mode, and not understand what the heart really truly wants to express, as you said. So yes, absolutely. And so we should be understanding the role of the ego, not killing it. Just so much in the spiritual community saying, kill the ego, kill the ego. I'm like, no, that you can't. You have one. We don't kill it. We need it. So when we understand the role of it.
Yeah, we probably need tonsils. We probably need a lot of things to take out sometimes. I agree. But God put it in there. Are you sure? God's like, I say, let's just cut it out. Okay. All right, man. If you say so, I got to fly around.
Did you know that tonsils is like almost like your vaccination system? Because I never had mine taken out. So it's like almost like a built-in vaccination system. It kind of supposed to like pure out any type of bacterial things or viral things. So I think that I was taught
as a kid, like
I'm confident about it.
You are. No, I think it's interesting. We can go down any rabbit hole, but the ego's job in the new era, I think, is to take care of yourself. Like that's a lot of work.
Yes.
Just up, getting all of your, all of your doctor things, just doing everything for you. It's a lot of work. That's a lot of busy work. Your ego's gonna be happy. We're going to express itself that way because it allows you to. I think that's the proper structure of human being consciousness. Is the ego basically is supposed to do all the work for what you're imagining into reality. Like the ego is supposed to carry out those intentions ultimately. And step 9 is I act, I am. If you don't put an emotion in the vibration of Earth, it's not going to be do anything, which is partly why voice works, is it's in motion actually through the voice. So interesting.
Yeah, let the ego be the defender. Like, not that you're in defensive mode, but let it be defend the things that you're working on, the heart that you're building. Your ego is going to be there to defend it, and let it do that job. So you set your boundaries, you set the proper parameters with your relationships and what you're able to experience, and you'll understand the ego's doing its work, and I'm building from the heart, and there'll be no fear of that. Confidence. So yeah,
you're all overcoming it. So being free of codependency. We talked about this a bit. Codependency, emotional codependency. I see a lot of people coming out of it anyway. So to say that, like, those putters have been drying up, especially with the narcissist theme and all that. Where the what's the word? The empath. I'm not sure what the other term is, right? Empath of the relationship. Yeah,
yes, spiritual guru. It's an empath.
Yeah, exactly. But in that exploration of that theme that went around forever, the narcissist theme, really what was happening, like the decoupling, I think, of the codependency is what I saw a lot in women. I have mostly female clients. So who knows what the men were doing? But the men are coming showing up, also very more aware and emotionally aware and truly aware and understanding of what the partner's going through. Whereas the old man energy would be like, I don't know, she's fucking crazy. Like the
I find a lot of men codependent too. They need their wife to get their their clothes for them. If you think of the traditional old school conservative type of relationships, the man's very codependent on the wife to do things for them that he won't do.
Oh yeah,
he can't do, right? And so I've seen a lot too, even though they're not emotionally deprived about it. But there's a lot of that codependency too. But I think what I find lately, which I knew where codependency was going to be less of a thing, is because probably the past 2 years, Spirit's been helping me to guide people to embrace and to be aware of their codependent relationships as they're evolving out of it. Yes. Right? Say, well, embrace, you create this codependent relationship, understand it's codependent, it is conditional. Now let's be objective of how to evolve out of that. And I've helped a lot of my clients evolve out of those conditional codependent relationships by not, rejecting it or pushing it aside or condemning themselves for it. And that's allowed them to be more independent now. And so, yeah, I can definitely have seen that for a while, that this codependency thing. And I was annoyed about the whole, narcissist empath sensation that was going on, but at the same time, I knew it needed to happen and to embed in consciousness as it did. So, but I agree in the sense of, I've been seeing a lot of that kind of people breaking out of that,
on their own. And what it comes down to, me, the solution is
naturally,
if you want to stay as a relationship, which you can, you have to each take, rub your own back. You have to rub your own back and stop expecting them to rub. And that can turn into a power couple really fast, actually. I mean, that's where it goes if you're willing to do it. Some people, it's so unthreaded, or it's a past life relationship, so rarely do you get out of that without, you got to start new, where the basis of it isn't that to begin with. Because most of the time, people just can't cut that cord. But now would be a time when you could, for instance, with this full moon. This is the type of thing, you could cut the cord of codependency. Also, imposter syndrome. How do you look at that? I mean, I guess it's a real problem. It keeps coming up. I didn't have imposter syndrome. I didn't feel like an imposter ever. So I've had a couple moments where I'm like, is this what imposter syndrome feels like? But I've never felt like an imposter because my heart genuinely knows.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of Delulu's. I've never had that, so I'm not really so much familiar about the feelings about. I've never been through that feeling before, but I've expressed and experienced others who've been in situations where, you know, they thought someone they were not, or, you know, look at American Idol auditions. These people think they're gonna be famous and they can't sing, but I'm famous, I'm the best ever. So that's kind of like the overconfidence, over cocky stuff that's diluted to me. That's the diluted version of overconfidence and cockiness. And so, yeah, I've seen many people think they're better than what they are, you know. Or they've seen the flip side. People think they're a horrible person when they're a great person. I've seen the flip side of that.
Yeah, for me, the imposter moments were only when I first gained realization that I was growing so much. Like when you know, you're in this mode, you're like, I'm just get there one day, I'm gonna have it, it's gonna work.
Right.
And one day you're like, you say something that was very easy, and everyone's like, oh my god. And you're like, well, that was easy actually. You know, like, and there's this moment where like, whoa, I'm having a huge effect on people, and you know, I was just trying to get there. And so there's a moment like, holy shit. I do remember that moment, like, I do know what I'm talking about, right? You know, like that moment, like, yeah, I mean, like you had that moment, and to me, maybe that was imposter syndrome. Where you're like, you know, this is very you know, holy crap. You're just so focused on trying to help that when you realize you are, there's that one moment where you're like, oh shit, can I do this? That's the other thing too, you know, because your mind had an idea, but you realize where you are now, you're doing it, you're doing it. Like,
well,
you know?
yeah. And I see a lot of that now in the New Age communities, people just parroting information, but they're not that person. So to me, that's kind of a fraud because they're just parroting stuff that they heard. They're not bringing their own experience to it, right? Their own perspective because they didn't go through it. And so I see a lot of that in the spiritual communities too. So, and I think that's where we can decipher what's authentic and not authentic. And I think that's another thing people are starting to recognize in the society too, is like, you know, I've heard the same shit, but that person's saying more authentically than the other person. I feel it from that person. So people being more feeling oriented now. So imposter syndrome to me, I feel like it's kind of been exposed in our culture for the past, 5 to 7 years that people are starting to recognize, especially with all the filters now, Christopher, you see on Instagram, right? And all the filtered people, they put on this appearance that they're not. And, people are starting to recognize what's fake.
So here's the thing. I think part of God's distribution plan is that there's going to be one Britney and 45 Britney dress-alikes outside the stadium. And that's God's plan. Like, that's God's plan. Like, there are people who just want to do that, and they just want to do that and be that, and like totally advertise for Britney, and it totally like networks, and it totally builds up the fandom. And it's like part of all these sensationalism is that these people, that's where they're at. But as a soul, like, that's as much they're giving themselves permission to try. Like, if you talk to them, it's like they're thrilled what they're doing. It's better than they've ever been. Like, their family's at a farm. They live on a farm, and like they're being their star. Right. And so it's like their heart's lit up, like they're so to me it's like, yeah, that's a stage. I look at everything as a stage, like it's a step system. It's like whatever step that is, like whatever you look at and you judge. I think it's a part of the full moon in Capricorn. We cannot judge anymore. But you'll realize how much it poisons ourselves. When we say, look at that little thing, who thinks she is, that is really twisted energy inside of you. Seriously, like that is actually going to hurt you and bring you down and hurts them and we don't need to do it anymore. Like, we just don't need to judge anymore. It doesn't matter. Like, can everyone just be okay being a mess?
Right. 100%. Because all the experiences are valid, Christopher. All experiences are necessary because, like, again, like you're saying, the people who are like revering the celebrity, they're in a moment of their karma that's helping the person have a experience of celebrity. It's all needed, right? We're all evolving, but like we can't, I always say too, don't judge because, every experience is a different karmic path, but it's creating this layer of experience that we can maneuver and experience things of and whatever we need to experience. So just like I said before, in order to be a star, you have to have fans. So there's people who are revering and, worshiping as a person of that karma, what's like to be famous and all that great stuff. So all those different layers are necessary. And I would say everything exists but non-existent, so we can't fight what exists. Just understand how we can evolve personally from it if we have a problem with it or an issue. I say the goal is to be objective, not affected, where it doesn't bother you. Just like, that's just part of life. That's the mastery for me.
If everything around you is you personified, which is what spirit allegedly is in reality, then that Britney Spears is insulting you. You're seeing something yourself. You know you want to be Britney Spears. You know you want to dress that way, Scott. You know what I'm saying? That's ultimately, I think, what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to, is inside you're judging yourself. And I'm just saying this full moon in Capricorn could be to end, end self-judgment is a big part of it. And I think it's what leads to imposter syndrome and all sorts of other things going on. And here's our last question, actually. We have just a couple seconds. Can you actually fake it till you make it? I hate
that phrase. I don't know. I don't like that phrase.
Why?
Because I don't. If you're channeling an energy, it's not faking, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, like, unless you're actually faking something like online and like, buying fake houses and renting houses and saying, this is my mansion life, buy my course. That's obviously, that's faking, but it's fraudulent. For me, I feel like if you're summoning an energy and you're allowing yourself to evoke that and express that and work with that, that's not faking it till you make it. That's being it until you achieve it. Right. And so I like to say, become the person, and you start acting that as that individual, you manifest the physicality of such. So, and we have to define this whole like making it thing. What do you mean make it? Like, what are you trying to make in a sense? And there's that corporate ladder syndrome of like, I have to get to that peak of whatever. So, I think when we remove that and say, become the person, start acting like the person you say you want to become based on what you're wanting. And then you'll evolve, and those circumstantial things will just fall in your lap, and you'll say it's manifestation. It's like, actually, no, you've actually were participating in your life and behaving in the way that's true to you. And you become what you've intended to become based on what you say you want. And I think people put the want, before the being, and it should be being, and then the manifestation.
Yeah, well, being to me is like living in the frequency. Living in the frequency is the way you experience the individuals that you feel that way. You feel that way. You feel that way. And I think actors and actresses, that's make them great. In that moment, they feel that way, and they know what the universal language of emotion is, and they stand in that emotion, and we're like, she feels that way. Like everyone knows, like we can do this telepathic understanding. So. To me, the fake it till you make it is actually, first of all, a conspiracy theory to take you away from doing it, because I think that's just how that came out. Who knows who released that? But but the reality is like what you be is what comes. What you be is what comes. Become is to me. You be, it comes. You be, it comes. You be, it comes. Whatever you be will come. And so if you want to be this, then you'll have that come. Exactly. What's that?
You do it. Jennifer Cruz says, you do it, you become it.
Well, that is true. You do it and you become it. You keep practicing. Yeah, you keep practicing. And that's exactly what happens. And it's how space travel works with UFOs apparently too. It's like their outer skeleton will be the vibration of the Earth, and they're at the Earth. Apparently that's how it works. And so even the ships travel on the universe. There's some sort of universal law of, where your heart belongs is where you belong. And so if you have two birds by the same, flocking the same thing, they are all vibrationally somehow synced together. And that's really what the Cage of Course is. I think we're supposed to find that sync.
Yeah. Well, we have to also understand, like, we're not here to get, we're here to express, and that we find the joy in expression, and when you think about being in love, it's like you're expressing the love, you're receiving it, you're expressing it. And so we love the expression of such. So we got to get off this, I'm confident I'm achieving these goals, and say I'm confident in being the person I know I want to become. And the things that I see myself in the future doing, it requires a personality trait of expression that I should be doing now. And I think that's where the joy comes from. That's where the happiness comes from, and the peace comes from. And that's what that was my learning curve the past 2 years, where I'm like, I'm always at peace. I'm growing, but I'm always at peace.
Yeah. Well, you're getting what you want, and you're going after what your heart wants. And
you're being who you want to be.
Yeah,
that's what really solidifies.
And that's Aquarius right there. I mean, that's what you guys teach us is you're just going to be, and that's truth, y'all. If you don't, of course, like that fucker is just who he wants to be. Like he ain't gonna listen to anything I say. Like they're just like, and no even sorries for it. That is ultimately it. I agree with you 100% that really would come to play. I think I'm really starting to feel change my whole perspective of the worldview is that this is a game. This is a game. Yeah. We're playing this and we're playing that. And if we're in heaven and we're bored as shit, which here we are, and there's like this virtual reality game that God created, and you're like, you can jump in, you can be anything you want, it'll feel really real. And in the last 80 years, you're like, fuck, why don't I? So I feel like we jump in. I feel like this is a simulation in some ways. I mean, all the data, everything's pointing the same thing. And if that's the case, let's calm down and enjoy it. I feel that. Let's calm down and enjoy it. If we can understand that, if we can just come to understanding, or
get through it, because so many people are in so many dire circumstances and they just want to get out of it. Just focus just getting through it. Like, this is your task. If we accept this is the mission at hand, we'll see it differently, and then we'll actually have joy during the process of evolving out of it, because we're not trying to get rid of it so much because I'm in pain, so and that brings that self-confidence, right? That builds confidence in yourself too, and you start seeing things clearly and shedding the karma, as you were talking about in the beginning, but yeah, I think that's a good way to close that segment for sure.
Karma weighs us down. The last thing I'll say is I feel that the awakening that really is that you are in complete control and you are making all this happen. And
it's freaky, isn't it?
You don't know it. I mean, I understand you don't understand how and all this stuff, but I realize this moment is us putting our hands on. He's like, we're creating AI, and we're basically now becoming aware to control our AI. The AI we have amongst us as souls, we're like realizing, this is just something that's rolling out deep algorithms based on our intentions. Is really, and the fact that we have these two coming online at the same time is like above understanding below. To me, this is it. And so what gets exciting is when people start using their powers. We have powers, energy. that we can use. It's no bullshit. It's documented, all sorts of stuff. Like, why are we fucking around with this on TV? So it's exciting. I think it's now time to talk about being a mystic in the modern era, right, Scott? What's it mean?
That's you.
Oh, I'm not?
That's all you, baby.
Oh, totally it is. Yeah, I thought I was turning to you. Okay, we have a commercial. I'll be right back.
Coming up next week on Serious Joy TV, join Sensei Christopher and co-host psychic medium Scott Cruz live on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then tune in to Astro Mingle for a mega astro conversation with guest Natha Perkins of Electra Astrology. The best in enlightened entertainment only on Serious Joy TV.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. I actually like that. I mean, I like that. I didn't know we had a little commercial for our show. That's cool. I like that. And
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, putting us promos. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
seriously.
very good.
Yeah, totally. What was I going to say? The last thing there, I can't remember. Oh, 40 days self-love. I mean, this is a important point. I'll finish with my commercials. That right now, the beginning of Leo is the best time to change what you become, because the way it works is Cancer, you clear the emotions, you build a nice bed, and then in Leo, you go into the heart. And so we've made 2 programs. One, we have this intro to step astrology. It's running along the heart line. So each day our heart is really willing to reboot. So each class is designed to kind of help you reboot it while the energy is supporting you at the same time. And that's also our 40 Days of Self-Love, which is a free program when you're a subscriber to Serious Joy. This works. People who've been estranged from their heart, 40 days, you're just journaling questions that you ask. We ask your heart this, ask your heart that. That's all it is. Just ask your heart a few things. By the time you get to the end, you're like, oh my God. You see ultimately where your mind has gotten in the way, where this got in the way, and you just suddenly understand your heart. And so from that point on, people start really moving forward in their dreams or learning what they are. So sign up now, Serious Joy for $3.99, and give a try at the intro to Step Astrology. And that is at seriousjoy.academy. Sorry, a lot of URLs. Thanks, Scott.
$3.99, are you out of your mind? You know that commercial? $3.99, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, what was that for? I can't remember. I do remember that.
I forget I think some fast food joint. But that's I mean, you can't go wrong with $3.99.
You can't really. Serious Joy to change your life. I mean, it's spiritually intelligent messages sending to you through the day, so it's pretty provocative. Like you're like, huh.
Yeah.
So we're gonna actually get to some gender dynamics a little bit here. This is actually kind of we're testing this for a future show. But talking just about confidence as relates to gender, because gender has become very fluid, for instance, right? It's very fluid. It seems to be now part of our creative palette, that in our culture, at least, you can the artist in you can express you exactly how you are with the percentage of everything that you are, and you can lean and go into any gender side you want, which is really interesting. Humans haven't been allowed that. Church never allowed you to do that. Like, hey, no, you're crazy. That must be a crazy person. Take them down the cells. We've never allowed people to use their own body or anything like that. Like, it's been against our rules, against our religion. So that's interesting, and maybe confidence comes from people being able to accept the truth of who they are and accept the percentages.
Well, it's also accepting the truth of how other people are, because I think people misinterpret the gender thing, and I think I did in the beginning too. But the whole thing about a spectrum, I think people were misconceiving that people want everybody to be fluid or gender or whatever they call those non-binaries. No, it's the fact of identifying there are people that exist in that spectrum, right? You have your male, female, those look like the male traditional sense, and those look like the women in the traditional sense, and there's people in between. So I think people misunderstand that we're supposed to be wanting to change the modality of male, female. It's like, no, just understand there are people that exist in the spectrum of such and let them be. And so I think that,
yeah. I mean, like for conservative families, the fact that it's offered as a kid, like to their kids, they're like, their opinion is like, my kid would never think about it if it wasn't introduced to. And that's a hard call. And the part is the parents like, yeah, but drugs, every generation has stuff that the parents never thought about, didn't know would exist, came out. and that's where you have to raise your kids. You have to raise your kids to make choices for their heart and for who they are, and it's going to shock you. I mean, a lot of times it does shock you. That's what kids are there for karmically. Is they're here to go like, actually, Papa, this person you love, they're this way. It's like, fuck. I guess I have to open,
But how do we learn? We learned from school, right? Because we weren't half the shit I learned was not taught. So it's like there was a feminine boy in school. There was a masculine girl. So we learned just by life, just people who are around us. And so, it's not like we being exposed or teaching people about like accepting people who are just different than you is like some sort of an agenda. It's like it's all around you anyway. It's just letting people know what it is. Because we see it all the time. I've seen kids in school, boys dressing up as girl wearing makeup. Like I've seen the same thing. We weren't taught about it, but I'm like, oh, there's certain people who just exist in that type of, format. That's cool. No problem to me. Let them enjoy their life. But I think that what happens is people lose their confidence because if they don't feel like they're accepted or at least valued or at least identified and validated in reality, that can really, stint their confidence of feeling like they're not a whole person. So we have to also understand our influence of how we can help other with their confidence and how we're depriving others of their confidence too. And a lot of it has to come with not accepting somebody else for who they are.
Yeah, I agree. I feel at the end of the day, though, confidence is like built inside of you. There comes a point where, people go both ways. There are people who are pretty confident what their gender is, and they don't care what the world thinks. They're not even try to propaganda. They're not going to do anything. Others to support their own self-worth. Like they, it's more complicated because what is their ego is like, well, if I'm going to value this and I have to support it, I have to defend it. Well, that's a beginner ego because the next ego is like, well, maybe we don't have to get in fights all the time. Maybe we can just agree to disagree. Like the ego grows up as far as how it approaches it. So, it's a variety of like ego levels. Confidence is a very complex, I think, algorithm really at the end of the day. But in fact, this is another thing that we have. Who hurt you, bro? Cocky male energy in the workplace. Which actually goes, is this her way of telling, do we have a problem, America? Like, have I been too cocky? That's where my mind was like, but, because she wrote these, she's our producer, 29 Libra, like, is this just a twisted way of telling us? Just kidding. But yeah, the cocky male energy to me, that's just a phase men go through, not in one life. They stay with their whole life through that. They're that guy. There's always that guy, you know what I mean? I imagine even like in African tribes, there's that guy, everyone else in the tribes like, but also that's the guy who will like, woo, like go right after the enemy. And you're like, thank God for that guy.
True. There's stupidity to cockiness because there's delusion to cockiness, and somewhere along the lines is insecurity to cockiness too. It's overcompensation, right? And I think that when you're truly confident, though, you let others be who they are, like we were saying before. But then, of course, that cocky male energy is for me is just an overcompensation. It's sometimes instilled in men. You have to be a certain way, and so they feel like, okay, well then I have this level of masculinity, so it's achieved. So let me go for that. And if they don't feel that, then they feel less confident. So the cockiness takes over. So it's a spiraling of societal influence, I think, that's actually made men less masculine and women more masculine and brought that out of balance, in my opinion. Instead of just letting people naturally be who they are, then we'll have the range of everything in perfect harmony, in my opinion, with that.
Yeah, again, I go back to our lifetimes. Like, you know what? I'm telling you, you're not going to fight a lion if you're not cocky. Like, it comes down to survival. We built cocky to survive, and we needed it then, and it saved our lives, and it gave us courage when we were about to do something fucking stupid and run towards the enemy with a knife or whatever the hell we did. And, that's where we were. In that case, we need a cocky. And I think part of this is just like kind of Cold War stuff where we're just like, okay, don't need the cocky anymore. Like this is part of our evolution. We don't need these parts of ourselves anymore because we're much more sophisticated. We know better. Men can be nurtured. A lot of it's defensive for men, And I say, women have their things too. Let's not bring it up in this, conversation. Right. But like women have their little tricks, that they use too to like keep it even. So yeah, it's interesting. But in the workplace too,
I'm glad you brought that up because I just want to say too, because we're talking about different cockiness, right? So I'm saying cockiness without confidence. But then when you have confidence, there's cockiness that can achieve things, right?
Well, that's sexy, actually.
Right, exactly. It's sexy because they're talking about something they can back up. They can back it up. But there's cockiness that I was talking about with the who your bro cocky male energy is because they lack the confidence, and so it's just all cockiness. Like overcompensation in that sense. So there's a duality to that too.
Yeah, but when I see like if you look at like freshmen in the Army, right? These are 18-year-old boys. And you look in their eyes and they're being cocky, but you can see in their eyes they're terrified.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, yeah, and I'm just like, I don't see that as a bad cocky either. I get it. It's like it's the only thing they had to go to in that moment, being scared. And
sure.
So we're gonna have to learn better tools. We have to support people, along the way. There's a lot that has to happen for that. But it's interesting to bring all this up. Now, I think with women, and men in the office place, it hasn't settled yet. It's still not working real well for lots of reasons. And women are taking control now in many, many ways because they're just better at a lot of things. Like their natural energy and disposition is better. One, that they're mostly open. Venus is openness. Mars is closed push. Venus is come on in. I'm open. Mars is closed push. Close the door. I'll talk to you later. And so in like places and companies, probably the reason companies were so harsh is because there was no divine feminine in the organization at all to keep things smooth by staying open. When we have these people. Now, if you have a sales force, like you want to go kick some ass in sales, I want the cocky on my team. I want the guy who's cocky. He's like, I'll get there. I'll close that fucking thing. Like, okay, go for it, boy, go. Like letting a hound out or something. I mean, so I think everything has its place in the world, personally.
Yeah, everything has, and cockiness has its place too. But every boss that I had before, when I left the corporate world, so to speak, when I worked jobs, retail, and banking, in my early 20s, every job supervisor boss I had were all female.
Me too.
So I have all female bosses and female teachers. So I was led more by females actually than men actually. So and I have a lot of people have the same experience. So as far as the dynamic can work, it really depends though, because you can have a cocky male that doesn't want any power from the women, so he'll dominate the female energy, or we have a very cocky female that just wants all the power, right? And so I've had a lot of very cocky female bosses in my workplaces that just want to dominate men, and they have that aggression to dominate men. So I think it works on both ends of the spectrum.
I agree. Actually, I think there's a whole generation of Hillary Clintons, honestly. I'm not. I'm calling her. I can probably name 4 others. So it's like, where then at that time, like feminine power was like, you got to fucking kick their ass and show me you fucking like you can see them eye to eye. Like there's a generation like we got to show them we can go eye to eye. And that was, I think, the I don't know. There was like a subconscious intention in that generation. So they kind of butched out a little bit, like. And got very professional, very male, and very pushy, and very cold, shut down to some degree. And to me, it's like, no, that's, I respect that you're trying to get up there and rebalance it, but at the same time, it's like, we need a woman, not another man. Like we need a woman there, who's open and who's wonderful, and the things that probably goes back to mother. I think part of the issue is that we need a little mother everywhere. Not that women are just mothers. But like, I think a lot of the problem is like, for some reason, mothers stay in the house. Like, why does mothers stay in the house? Like, and mothers want to stay in the house, but at the same time, it's like that same care level needs to be spread out to the universe. I mean, that's this cancer of evolution here. I think for cancers in general, that's the evolution. You've made one person your everything, and the universe is saying, no, the whole world needs you and what you do, the whole world. Like, and go out there because you've got a following. Now, to the cancers on this birthday, full moon.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But I think that too, like if we understand we need divine feminine and divine masculine and how that fits in our lives, that will bring more confidence. So if you're in your life, you understand what type of nurturing you need. That's all about nurturing energy is a divine feminine, and the divine masculine is a very warrior protective energy. So if we understand a balance in our lives, we won't go on power trips, nor would be affected by those who are on power trips. Like, I get what they get what they're doing, And so I think again, like it's really we can. And this is part of another one of the context is that male cockiness is just a cover up for insecurities. Any cockiness is a cover for insecurities, not just male, it's also female too. And so, that's what I was saying before. Cockiness can come from an insecure place and deprivation place too. But I think we need it all. We need the confidence, a little bit of cockiness, and humbleness. You have that triad as a person, you'll achieve anything. And anything that happens to you, you won't be like, oh my God. You'll be like, I'm trekking through it. It's my fuel.
I think also people, people will project onto people what they need to see. So if they come from a background of being super, people around them being super cocky, treating them really bad, then they instantly see that in everyone. They start seeing those qualities because they're trying to resolve their own pain inside of being treated poorly by someone who's cocky. I think energetically, if you don't feel their heart, I mean, if you want to measure people by their genuine side, to me, the measure is the heart. How much do you feel the heart? How much do you feel the love and the attention? How much do you feel it? Not think it, not see it. How much do you feel it? So to me, that's what we ought to gauge anyways. Not how much of cock we have, but rather how much of heart we have and how our heart feels about things.
It's true.
I think that's part of the flip right now. Let's just follow the heart. The heart knows. If the heart says, I don't like it, then go. Then go. Don't be in the presence of that if your heart doesn't like it. And really just listening to our inner self, I think, is the way to go with that.
100%.
So I think we're at wrap up here, dude. We're actually a little early. This felt like 2 hours special.
It really did. Today's an odd day.
It is. I'm in a vortex all day.
The timing, like the time slippages for me, and things kind of just falling all over the place today. Yeah, it's been a very interesting, especially my purge I had this morning. I was very odd. I haven't just vomited, but nothing. It was just
today.
The sensation. It was this morning. Yeah, it was this morning when I woke up.
Yeah.
I woke up, I had a massive headache. I felt nauseous, and I just purged, twice, but nothing came out. I was like, it was very symbolic, I think, more so.
Well, that's good because I'm at the point where I actually have to purge. So
I've been purging for 2 years, so I mean, I'm ready to expand. I'm ready to change that. Change the expression now because of all the purging and resorting that I've done for the past 2 years, consistently.
Yeah. Well, Aquarius for me is my lifestyle. So my whole lifestyle has to go up, not just me, with Pluto and Aquarius. And it's great that you're in Aquarius because I can just watch you, how you do it. So it's been very helpful, brother. Thank you.
And I just want to but before we close, I pulled 2 cards here. It's the 5 of the Cups and the High Priestess. So I put it in the order 16 on camera. This is taking loss and turning it to your power. Taking the negative, turning it to your power. And the High Priestess card is all about that intuition, that heart energies, your psychic abilities. Understand we all have that intuition. We got to start listening to that. And when you're in a state of loss, you can actually use that energy, that negative energy, to harness and to push through what you really truly feel. So let's use the power of the negative and the positive and the yin and the yang of reality to boost and enhance our psychic awareness. So that was kind of the closing message the cards wanted to say for some reason.
I love it.
You're all psychic. How about that?
Everyone is psychic, and everyone is coming into that power. This is not a special thing. We're just people who tried it in last lives, and now we have it on our hand, on our hip. We had it on our hip young, But that'll be your next life. So we're all coming there. We're all going into a new reality. I'm very excited, actually. I mean, the biggest thing I'll leave with, as I shed all this away, and I'm in a lot of pain for a lot of reasons right now in my body. Because of my fucking 6th house remakeover. The truth is, I've never been more excited in my life. I am so aware now, with no doubt, that I haven't kidded myself the whole time, which means my heart's going to be so excited with each step. So if you're on the right path to serious joy, is what I call it. It's like your heart is excited, and you're excited for tomorrow, and you have no evidence at all that anything will work out at all. Your heart.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, your heart just knows it's going to be fun. That's all we know. But being in that state is wonderful. Just wonderful. Yeah.
Especially that change when you feel like you're about to make a big change. That's to me exciting. So the contemplation of what to do and all that stuff is it could be challenging when you're introspective. I don't know what to do and what's the next step and trying to map it out. But let that remind you that massive change is around the corner. You're just processing it, and that's exciting. So that's what I feel currently.
I love change. Reminds me when I was a 5-year-old. I have a lot of 5-year-old flashbacks coming back for some reason, that year in my life. And I remember when we would take, I remember when we take a trip, I was so excited to see the next hotel we're going to stay at. Because you drive and you stop when you're tired. My parents in the 70s. So it was always exciting. And just that feeling of how I was excited to see what was next is kind of what I'm feeling now. Can't wait to see the next thing that shows up.
Yep.
I haven't felt that vibe of that boy, 5-year-old boy, in a long time.
It's a bomb. Yeah, that's good. That's a good celebration.
It is a good, So we'll leave on that happy note, y'all. We're so grateful to be of Soul Service. We'll be back next week. Thank you for taking us down that dark road, Erica. I'm kidding. I love teasing Erica. It was fun. And next week we'll be rounding out Cancer season, talking about self-nurturing isn't shellfish. That's cute, shellfish. Yeah, I guess so.
Interesting.
Yeah, well said.
Okay.
Well said. Don't forget to check it out. And tomorrow night, your show, buddy?
Yeah, it's tomorrow night, every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And just as I said before, I'm doing all 12 signs, readings for July, August, important time. So come in and watch live. And I'll also be doing one-on-one private sessions too, or private readings live too, as I do every Thursday. So catch me tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we'll catch you next week on LL too.
Yep, and I'll be on Friday night with, of course, Namaste Today, and then our Astro Mingle. It's going to be a fun mingle together. And then, of course, starts on East Coast time at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock East, and then at the same time.
Who's the guest?
I cannot remember. Someone. Well, no, it's 1 or 2. I just can't remember what's coming first. I believe it's my buddy, numerologist friend, Josh.
Josh Siegel. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Josh Siegel. I feel it's him. But I have also Bree coming as well from Australia, who is our AI specialist, and she's going to talk about AI. We're going to do deep AI. So I think what it is, I'm pre-taping Bree, and then I'm having live with him. That's what I think is happening.
Oh, that's fascinating. That'd be interesting to hear what she has to say about that.
I'm excited too. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week. We love you. Live, love, be.
Don't put up a shit show.
Don't put up
Lead out loud. You've got to
we
say
don't put
that.
up with our shift show.
No, I just been like in this very peaceful, flighty-daddy energy for a while, and I don't know. That comes off these. That also can come off standoffish too, right?
No, not at all. I'm in peace, and then I have diarrhea. And I'm in peace again.
You have a piece of diarrhea.
People, it's like deja vu and Christopher. How interesting.
Deja vu and Christopher. What does that even mean?
I don't